to the Best Day Ever podcast. It's your boy, Tru Sav, still out here kicking it for this Quarantine 2020, y'all. It is only going to get worse. But here on the Best Day Ever podcast, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about all the fun and exciting things that have happened this Quarantine 2020, y'all. Again, the memes are hilarious. If it was the end of the world, there'd be a meme for it. Yeah, y'all, there's something else, boy. I am here to tell y'all. It keeps getting more exciting as the days go by. First, it was supposed to be a couple days. Now it's looking like weeks. And the last thing that they told us out here was that because people don't know how to listen, I'm looking at you, East Oakland. We are doing curfews now. There is a 10 o'clock p.m. to 5 a.m. curfew that will be strictly enforced out here in the Oakland area. If you didn't know, East Oakland don't know how to act. So when the curfew was in place, people in, West Oakland, East Oakland, I guess the bottoms is West Oakland, they were still outside at nighttime. And yesterday, they actually decided they were going to have a sideshow in East Oakland off of High Street. At the Pit. Shout out to the Dubs. So the police came out there. I think somebody got hit by a car. So, I mean, yeah, the curfew. And I'm pretty sure if they don't abide by the curfew, that'll be their excuse to bring in the National Guard and martial law. It seems a lot of neighborhoods in, we'll just say a lot of bad neighborhoods. Miami, there's that too. Miami, Maryland, the Bronx, Philly, LA, Oakland. I think a little bit in San Francisco, Hunters Point, all of that. They are refusing to go inside for the curfew. Absolutely refusing. Which, while we find hilarious, it's actually, I feel like it's actually kind of what they want. Because the more people who don't abide by the curfew, the more people who don't abide by the social distancing, which we'll get into, it's just giving them an excuse to come in and be like, look, you're on timeout. Everyone go to your house and be quiet. Jesus Christ, sorry about that. But, so I guess, apparently people still went to spring break. That was interesting. Seeing a whole bunch of people on the empty beach, and the police weren't having it. They came out there and they had something to say about it. Most definitely. We have some new rules out here. The guidelines originally for going into the store were you could still go to the store for essentials. So essential stores were deemed convenience stores, liquor stores, I know, right? Banks, car maintenance, I can't remember. But yeah, medical marijuana places were still essential, which the irony abounds. If there's anyone in jail right now for possession of any kind of marijuana, but yet the stores are still open, they need to be up out of there. That don't even make sense. Now, the new rules for shopping, they just came down from corporate for us, was there can only be 50 people in the store at the time. So here come those communist bread lines. You can only have 50 people in the store. When you're in the store, you can't be within 6 feet of another person. So when you're in line, everyone has like a square that they have to stand on. So when the person in front of you moves, you move up to the next square, so on and so forth. Now this is weird because when you're talking to the cashier, it's still a cash transaction if you're going to do that. So again, As soon as they start talking about cashless society, we're in trouble. But this has caused a little bit of conflict because when we're in the store putting stuff on the shelves, the rule is also that if a customer comes down the aisle that you're on, you have to leave the aisle, which makes it extra difficult to put stuff on the shelves because if the customer comes down the aisle, you have to stop what you're doing and leave, and then wait for them to leave. And if another employee comes down the aisle, it's the same thing. You have to leave also. So this makes work impossible. But it's cool though, because Amazon has decided that anything over 40 hours, they're going to pay us double time. Not only are they going to pay us double time, but it's unlimited overtime. So if you want to stay and work, you can stay and work as long as you want to. So, yeah, your boy's been at work all day, every day. I go in at maybe 6 in the morning, don't leave till 9 at night, 6 days a week. Even got rested on the 7th day. So I just got my first check last week. Yeah, it was all right. It was all right. I will definitely concur. It was well worth it. It is a bit strange watching people file in the store like that. It still hasn't really sunk in. It's kind of now because it's starting to become the norm, and now they're talking about it's going to be like this until at least the middle of May. So 6 months with unlimited overtime, I'm fucking with it. It's going to be something. Again, the only people who are exempt from these rules, well, not inside of the store, but the only people exempt from the curfew are our transient population, which, again, the only people that I'm jealous of are homeless people because they've just got nothing to do. Just nowhere to be, nothing to do, just hanging out. Most expensive city in the most expensive state in the union. And they're just enjoying the weather outside, no social distancing, no nothing. Now, I was thinking this, and as a joke, I wanted to put on my Facebook. It was like, I'm not going to take this virus seriously until homeless people start dying. Because these motherfuckers don't shower, they don't wash their hands, they're outside, not following the social distancing, and none of them are sick. Once again, making me think that the elixir of long life is crack. If you want to live forever, smoke crack. You're not going to be relatively healthy, but you're going to live forever. They be getting hit by cars, sitting outside in rainstorms, nothing bad happens to them. I don't know. I'm just pontificating here. So because of our limited quantities of stuff, it's making the shopping experience even more awkward. Because now, how do I describe this? It's caused a rift between employee and customer. Because before, you come into work and you're going to have to deal with some customers who aren't necessarily the nicest or the most well-behaved. But now that you're running out of stuff and there's just not the basic essentials, people are a little bit on edge. Just a little bit. So the way it works for those of you who aren't essential, I'll explain that later. Every day we get a shipment. Well, the new rules that they stated are all the businesses have to close by 9 or 10. I think 10 being the latest. We're closed from 10 to 6. Even places that would normally be open 24 hours are closed from 10 to 6 so they can clean and restock stuff, which makes sense. We open at 9 in the morning So when I get there, we're just prepping stuff. Like, really, we're not doing anything because we can't put hot food out. Everything has to be individually packaged. So since we can't really put out hot stuff, I mean, we're just in there kicking it. But we get our shipments overnight, put everything on the shelves. By 10:30, toilet paper, paper towels, baby wipes, rubbing alcohol, hydrogen peroxide, aloe vera gel, thermometers. What else is gone? Usually bread, milk, butter, beans, rice. All of that's gone. Like, completely gone. Especially the paper stuff or disinfectants, disinfectant wipes. Absolutely gone. Like, so now people are, it's weird because we know every day that like certain high demand items, like they're just not going to be there past 10, 11 o'clock. So when people come in at 3, 4, or 5 o'clock, I'm like, hey, do you guys have toilet paper? It's like, yeah, we had some like at 8:30, 9 o'clock, but I mean, it's gone. And then people have this like confused look like, well, what do you mean? Like, oh, why don't you have it? It's like, bro, everyone in the world wants these right now, and you think that you're just going to saunter into the store at 3:30 and you're just going to get some of these high demand items? Like, no, that's just not the way it goes. Like, not at all. And people are like genuinely confused. Like, well, why aren't they here? Well, why is it? It's like, bro, you're going to have to put a little bit more effort into this. And people, I had a guy yesterday who told me that we were price gouging. Price gouging is when a store in a situation like this, in an emergency situation, is charging an exorbitant price for a product. So I think we were charging $8 or $9 for some bleach. And it was some kind of fancy schmancy bleach. Usually one that people don't buy because there's a cheaper version. But the customer was saying that we were price gouging because usually it's $5, but now it's $8. And he was going to go shop somewhere else. And I just had to tell him, I was like, dude, you're not going to find, even if you do find some bleach somewhere, like, it's not, number one, it's not going to be any cheaper. Number two, you're wasting your time. Like, what? You're not going to, so to save $2, you're going to drive to 2, 3 other stores that might not have it. And if they do have it, it's probably the same price. Because, I mean, we monitor each other's prices. We all know what the price is. So don't act like we're doing anything that anyone else isn't doing. I guess, let's not pretend. It's also really weird to hear, well, when speaking to customers, and some of them are just losing it. They're losing their grip on reality because most people are out of work. The majority of the people that come in, like, they don't go to work. So they're new to dealing with, number one, there not being supplies on hand. So toilet paper, paper towels, bread, milk, stuff like that. They don't have the essentials. They don't have any money. They've got nothing but time because they're sitting at the house all day watching The Price is Right and Judge Judy and whatnot. And their biggest complaint is that, like, there's so much tension in the house because they don't know what's going to happen. They don't know where their next meal is going to come from. They don't know what's going to happen in general. And in my mind, I wanted something that's like, well, welcome to being poor. Like, it's awkward. It's not awkward. I always tell my significant other, it's funny how people can see other people's problems so clearly, but can't see their own when it's right in front of their face. And I feel like this applies to this situation because it's like no one cared that there was people out there who had more month than money, and they didn't have the basic necessities, and they were living in a fucked up apartment complex in a bad neighborhood, and there was they lived in a food desert. Food desert being when you live in a specific neighborhood and there's no real grocery stores. All your food comes from like liquor stores or convenience stores. There's no healthy choices. Like no one cared about that when it didn't affect them. But now that it affects them, it's this is a priority. This is what we need to take care of. And it's like, well, I mean, a couple months ago, when that guy was running for president and he said everyone should have health care and a decent living wage, that was ridiculous. But now that it affects you, all of a sudden, now that should be number one on the list. Like, man, get the fuck out of here. Your hypocrisy is showing, sir. Watch out. Well, I mean, I understand. Like, not everyone is built for this. Like, not everyone understands. The funny part about it, though, is that we have now coined a new term. Well, we didn't coin the term, but when dealing with people like this at work now, we refer to them as non-essentials. Yes. This came from when we first came to work. Well, when we first came back to work after the 16th, we were deemed essential workers. So your grocery stores, again, like you said, grocery stores, auto mechanics, basically anything that before this was deemed what's the word I'm looking? Jesus Christ. I've been in the house too long. Pretty much any minimum wage job you can think of was now deemed an essential job. So we kind of, we look down our nose now at the non-essentials. I don't, because I love all of God's children. But my fellow coworkers enjoy looking down their nose at non-essentials because now their attitudes have changed. Before, they would get an attitude with us and everything was a problem, and they always had some attitude for us. Now everything is, hey, how you doing? Hey, Tru Sav, those bananas sure are looking good today. It's like, oh, now you want to be nice because now you want something. Hey, would you happen to have any toilet paper in the bed? No, I don't got it, Steve. Sorry. But like, it's funny to me. It's like, okay, like whatever, you're a non-essential. But some of my coworkers take it to heart. Like, they really are disrespectful now, and I can't blame them. I mean, it's funny when the tide turns, and now the person who wasn't in a position of power now is. It can lead to some abuses. We will say it's we'll talk about that a little later. It's just human nature. That's just the way it is. Like, you can't expect someone who's been on the bottom of the totem pole, when they suddenly rise to the top, to treat people fairly, or at least not have a little bit of disdain left for them. But we'll talk about that. Some of the funnier things that I've seen is I see a lot of people now with workout clothes on. Like, there's a lot more people coming out because that's the only excuse you can have to leave the house, is if you're going to buy essentials, you're going to walk a dog, or you're exercising. So every day, that's all people have on. Workout clothes, they got the dog with them. So, I mean, maybe the purge, maybe quarantine 2020 is going to be good for us. People can get some exercise, they can stay at home, work on those relationships that we talked about. Remember that? They can learn something. But what I have noticed a lot of is people buying prophylactics and some, what do they call them? EPTs? Buying pregnancy tests. There's a lot of those. I saw a lady yesterday. I don't mean to put her business out in the street, but she'll be all right. She had a little basket that she bought 2 of the economy packs. So this is 2 36 packs of condoms. I was like, bless your heart, sweetheart. She bought an enema kit, some lube, And so that KY jelly that like warms up when you rub it. I was like, cause she was by the bathroom, and I was walking to take my break, and she was gonna take the basket into the bathroom, and she kind of saw me and thought about it. She's like, "Hey, can you hold this for a second? Like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom." So I was like, "All right, whatever." I didn't think about it, and when she handed it to me, I looked in the cart and was like, "Yo, you were gonna get quarantine 2020 popping, boy." I mean, and then the enema on top of it. So I was like, "Oh, so you gonna get wild? You gonna get all right? God bless you. This is a little out of my depth, but all right, do your thing, Woody. I'm not even mad at you. That was different. That was on the scale of 1 to 10. That was a 4. The the 6 was the Asian dude that bought the economy thing of Magnums. That was that was different. I was kind of like, does he know what those are? Like, does he? And the girl that was with him seemed to agree with him when he picked him up. Like, he picked him up, he looked at her, she looked at him, and she was like, yeah, yeah. It's like, okay, like, whatever. This is getting interesting. Uh, Number 10 though, like the 1 to 10, the most surprising would have to be my transient friend who came up and asked me. He said, "Yo, you guys sell lambskin condoms?" I was like, "Do we sell what?" He's like, "The lambskin kind, you know. I'm trying to steal. I was trying to get my feel on when I get my fuck on." I was like, trying to get your feel on while you get your fuck on. Like, I respect it. I was like, okay. And so I take him to the little section, and I'm showing him. I think it was like for 6, it was like $22 or something crazy. And he was like, "God damn, that's expensive." So now there's like this awkward moment where I'm looking at him like, I mean, you're just gonna steal them anyways. Like, why are we even like? Why did you make me walk you over here so we can have this awkward ass conversation? So he proceeds to tell me about how he has 3 kids and he don't want no more kids, but he want that sensation, boy. And I was like, my man, here you go. I got stuff to do. Like, let's end this awkward conversation right now. So then he proceeds to tell me how they're cheaper at CVS, and I'm still stuck because I'm just like, my guy, I, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, homie. Do your thing. I mean, you haven't bathed in 2 weeks, so I don't know why it would matter. But it's good. You know what I'm saying? Do your thing. So he leaves. Thank God. And other than that, I mean, stuff is flying off the shelves. Like, it's surreal. Like, when I put something on the shelf, I know if I come back the next day, it's gonna be gone. Like, we're supposed to front and face stuff when we put it on the shelves, meaning it's got to be facing forward, labels lined up. Boy, we are just putting shit on the shelf. We're just putting it there. People don't care about prices. It doesn't even really matter what the price is. Like, if they need it, they just take it, grab it, pay for it. And we haven't had a price check in a week. No one's questioning the price of anything. It's just, hey, throw it in the basket and let's do it. Which is strange to say the least, because I mean, again, this has never happened. So to see and it's every day. Every day lines are through the store. There's a line of people outside waiting to get in. It's a taste of things to come, most definitely. The weirdest part about it, or the hardest part dealing with it, is when we have managers who aren't necessarily trained in how to deal with a crisis situation or deal with the newfound power that they have. Because before, you were just some manager at a grocery store that Amazon owns. But now, like, you are the gatekeeper to my family getting food or not. So now, the person who before you would never even think twice about is now in charge of putting out all the food, ordering all the right stuff, ordering basically the essentials to life. And they know it because nothing else is open. All their friends are out of work or at the house. Their significant other might be at the house. So now the power has switched. And it's entertaining to watch, most definitely. Well, no, it's not entertaining because, again, when I would always tell employees, it's easy to tell what people don't get respect at home, whether it be customers or managers, because they will try to make you respect them, which is impossible, because you can't make people respect you. Like there's no amount of telling people what to do or anything like that that would be like, you know what, I really respect you for that. Like, nah, that's not what's going on, and the customers can tell. Because, well, the customers don't really know. They only get it from the employees. But you can see it in the demeanor of the managers that we have in the store. They think that they are Darth Vader, fucking Scar, like all of that shit rolled into one. Like they're just... It becomes obvious. It becomes very obvious rather quickly that their communication skills are 2 on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest. Like just communicating with employees, communicating with customers, and I can't even blame the managers per se. Everyone's everyone's communication skills suck. Again, like we talked about before, with the advent of social media and with the internet, there's no more face-to-face communication. Everything is through text message or email. So no one understands the smaller social nuances of a conversation or even just asking someone for something. I can't tell you how many times I'll be putting something on the shelf and a customer will just walk up, hey, do you have whoop, 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 or where's whoop, whoop? And it's like, my guy, there's no need to talk like that. Like, what are you doing? Or walking in front of someone and not saying, excuse me, or how certain things are said, or just anything. This has only exacerbated the problem of people not knowing how to deal with each other. And tensions are going to rise. It's inevitable. I can see it every day. Like, people are starting to get more and more frustrated. Employees are starting to get more and more frustrated just because, I'm not even going to say communicate, just a lack of respect. That sums it up better. That people don't respect each other's bubble. They don't respect people's time. They don't respect people's feelings. And everyone feels like they're entitled to something. Why don't you have this item that I want? Like, I had a lady get mad because we didn't have almond butter. Well, why don't you have it? Ma'am, do you know what the fuck is going on right now? Do you know how hard it is to get shit? Like, do you know how hard it was just to get the shit that we have? And you're complaining because we don't have almond butter? I don't know. With that being said, though, I have been trying to respect my fellow humans, especially my transient homie down the street. During the ongoing battle that I'm having with the transient population, there's always someone that I end up having a special relationship with. And my man is, there's a gentleman on our street that lives in his car. And I mean, hey, that's your business. Like, it doesn't bother me. I don't mind, whatever. But I see him all the time. And whenever we have food at work, because I think, what did they buy us last time? They bought us, they bought us Chipotle? Yeah, they bought us Chipotle. And the first time around, they were nice enough to buy me a vegetarian burrito, which is so it's just so sweet. But I worked a double, and since I worked a double, they bought another round of Chipotle. So I was like, "What? Double burritos? I'm fucking with it." Well, this time they forgot, and so they had got like a pork one or a steak one or something. So I didn't feel like blowing my backside out. So at the end of the night, I think there was like 3 of them left. So I just took the 3 of them. I was like, I'm sure I can find 3 people to give these to. I see my man. Well, he wasn't even in his car, but the door was unlocked. So I just unlocked it, or I opened the door. No. See, I do so many good deeds. I forget what I do. I had bought, I think, the first week that this had happened. So it would have been the week of the 20th. I had bought pizza and like hot wings or something from some place on DoorDash. It was a hell of a deal. It was like 3 extra large pizzas and some chicken wings for like $30. The name escapes me, but yeah, it wasn't bad. So at the end of the night, whatever was left, I put it in the little box, and I hadn't intended to give it to dude. The first person I saw was who I was going to give it to, and I couldn't find anyone, and I was passing his car, so I was like, well, let me just go ahead and leave this here. So I left the box of pizza and the chicken wings in the car. So the next morning, I'm walking to work, and I saw him in the car, and I said, hey, how was the pizza? And he was like, oh, you left that? And I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, man, thanks, man. The chicken wings was so lemon. I was like, all right, man, that's what's up. So fast forward 2 days, and that was when we had got Chipotle, and I had dropped it off for my man. And it was 3 big-ass fucking burritos, too. So I dropped them off. What was it? It had to be like, again, 2 days later, I see him in the morning, and he just can't stop smiling. As soon as he sees me, he's like, hey, did you drop them big-ass burritos off last night? And I was like, yeah, were they good? He was like, man, I'm still full right now. I still got one right now in the car. I was like, that's what's up, man. He was like, hey, anytime you got anything, just going ahead. The door's unlocked. Just open up the door and put it in here. I was like, all right, man, I got you. So whenever we have stuff, because usually they'll buy us food or something when they're trying to be nice. And then if we have something extra, I just go take it to my man. Because, I mean, he's out there already living his best life. I figured I might as well break you off. Because, I mean, I'm not going to eat it. I'm not going to eat that divine swine, even though it's right on time. But yeah, my man, what was my man's name? Samuel. My name is Samuel. I was like, not Sam, no, Samuel. My man is still distinguished. Oh fuck! Then after the Chipotle thing, the next day I see him, and I'm like, "Hey man, what's up?" He's like, "Man, you seen that motherfucking funky bitch?" I was like, who?" Man, the one that be with me. She done took my car, took it all the way down the street, man, left my goddamn house all open. So I don't know, man. Homeless people still be going through it. It's crazy. Like relationship problems are relationship problems. It don't matter if you homeless, if you got a house. It don't matter. People still be tripping. Oh my gosh, good times dealing with a transient population. What I was thinking about when all of this has happened with well, specifically what I mean is when I was talking about earlier when I was saying absolute power corrupts absolutely. This isn't just a saying. They've actually got the science to back it up. It reminded me of a couple movies. We've all seen the movies, read the books. What is it? Lord of the Flies. The prison experiment. What's the movie? There's a couple of movies that talked about this. Oh yeah, Das Experiment. Minefield, what is it, Battleground. Well, basically, in 1971, my man, Dr. Philip Zimbardo, did the now infamous Stanford prison experiment. And what it was, in short, was an experiment where he is investigating the psychological effects of perceived power between two different groups. One group was a group of prisoners, or excuse me, this happened at Stanford, the university. So he got some college kids to volunteer, and the volunteers were either assigned the position of guards or they were assigned the prisoners. And it was completely random. It was just flip of a coin. They decided who was going to be a prisoner or guard. And the control was the doctor. He was the superintendent of the prisoners. And the experiment only lasted 6 days. And the reason why it only lasted 6 days was because it worked a little bit better than expected. Here were some of Zimbardo's goals for the experiment. He said, we wanted to see what the psychological effects were of becoming a prisoner or a prison guard. To do this, we decided to set up a simulated prison and then carefully note the effects of this institution on the behavior of all of those within its walls. He went on to say, the primary reason for conducting the experiment was to focus on the power of roles, rules, symbols, job identity, and situational validation of behavior that generally would repulse ordinary individuals. Quote, I had been conducting research for some years on de-individualization, vandalism, and dehumanization that illustrated the ease with which ordinary people could be led to engage in antisocial acts by putting them in situations where they felt anonymous, or they could perceive of other ways in which that made them less human, as enemies or objects, end quote. Yeah, my man was deep. So basically, they recruited these people, 24 applicants. I think they got paid like $90 a day, and they put them in this fake prison within the school. And he ran this social experiment on them. But here's what happened. After the first day, the prisoners decided to blockade themselves into the cell. So the guards volunteered to work extra shifts and whatever to subdue the riot. And this is the second day. Now these are college kids. These aren't real guards. These aren't real inmates. So by the second day, they had already accepted their roles as guards and inmates. So the guards, thinking, well, they have to do something to kind of quell these incidents, they decided to come up with a privilege cell. So if you weren't involved in the riot or being disruptive, then you would get special rewards, basically higher quality meals, more free time and whatnot. And after a certain amount of time, you get to get out of your cell, stuff like that. So by the third day, one guy started to act crazy. Well, so they thought he was acting crazy. So much so that they finally had him under observation, and they were convinced that he was really suffering, so they had to let him go. After this, the guards forced the prisoners to repeat their assigned numbers, like their prison number, or whatever 4-digit number it was. And they did this to reinforce their new identity. And so they were removing the prisoner's identity of Sam to now your identity of prisoner 1, 2, 3, 4. So of course, with anything else that digressed to the guards using physical violence, protracted exercise for error, stuff like that, sanitary conditions declined rapidly. Also, the guards refused to allow the prisoners to use the bathrooms. They made them go in like buckets. So, of course, for punishment, the guards wouldn't let the prisoners empty the bucket, so they would just keep the same bucket for all 9 of the prisoners. The guards would also remove their mattresses, make the inmates sleep on concrete. They'd make some people sleep naked. Now, these are college students. Like this is, this is 1971, so it's a little bit different. But even still, like, even for $90 a day, it's like, bro, I'm not doing this. Like, you're out of your fucking mind. I'm not. But whatever for the name of science. So all of this happened. Oh, and again, this is only like day 4 or day 5, and it only lasted 6 days. Towards the end on day 5, when the guy that they had released for his mental breakdown, the guards started to become concerned that he was going to come back with some other guys and try to break them out. So they take the inmates upstairs to another part of the school where they have them locked, and they kind of wait it out. The day goes by, he never comes, so they bring him back downstairs, and they bring all the prisoners back downstairs. So now now the inmates are saying that they would accept parole, even if that means not getting the money, just because they want to quit at this point. So now, on day 6, the guards responded with more abuse. When one of the guys said that he wasn't going to eat because he was on a hunger strike, they sent him to solitary confinement, which was a closet. And they instructed the other prisoners to punch the door of the closet and start yelling out his cell number and so on and so forth. So this finally stopped when a graduate student came to observe what was going on in the prison. And she told the dude, like, you've got to stop this. Like, what are you doing? Like, it's illegal at worst, or excuse me, it's immoral at best, illegal at worst. You need to stop this. So he ended up stopping it, and out of 6 days out of 14. And according to my man, Zimbardo, it demonstrated that the simulated prison situation, rather than individual personality traits, caused the participants' behavior. Using this situational attribution, the results are compatible with those in the Milgram experiment, where random participants complied with orders to administer seemingly dangerous and potentially lethal electric shocks to a shill. Really quick, the Milgram experiment was they sit you down at a buzzer and you press the buzzer and allegedly someone gets shocked. And they found that as long as there was someone there telling you to do it, people would shock someone all the way to the top of the scale. As long as there was someone there telling them to do it. If they were left to their own devices and they had a choice whether or not they would shock someone, they wouldn't do it. That was the Milgram experiment. With that being said, this experiment has also been used to illustrate cognitive dissonance theory. That's the easy one. Participants' behavior may have been shaped by knowing that they were being watched. Instead of being restrained by fear of an observer, guards may have behaved more aggressively when supervisors observing them did not step in to restrain them. It says, with no control, prisoners learned they had little to no effect on what happened to them, ultimately causing them to stop responding and give up. Quick to realize that the guards were the highest in the hierarchy, prisoners began to accept their roles as less than important human beings. Alright. So, long story short, my man made the students, half of them guards, half of them prisoners. The guards abused the prisoners accepted it. Pretty simple theory. Similar to that, there is my homegirl Jane Elliott, who's invited to the cookout. She did the same kind of thing. Well, no, she didn't do anything close to the same kind of thing. She did an experiment in her classroom. And what it was, She called it the brown-eyed, blue-eyed exercise. And the point of the exercise was to reinforce the unfairness of discrimination and racism. And what she did was she divided the class in twos. Half were brown-eyed, half were blue-eyed. And she started by saying that they had done a new study and it said that blue-eyed people were stupid. And that brown-eyed people were smarter than blue-eyed people, and blue-eyed people couldn't do anything right. And throughout the course of the experiment, the blue-eyed people started to believe it. And so blue-eyed people would start to be more reserved and would start doing bad on tests, and the brown-eyed people became more confident and would start to pick on the blue-eyed people. And even to a certain extent, when they realized that the teacher was blue-eyed, the kids then started to mock the teacher and say, well, you don't really know what you're talking about because you're a blue eye and we're a brown eye. I know, it was deep. So the reason why I brought this up isn't because I just like talking about social experiments. I brought it up because I feel like that dynamic is starting to take place at the job site. Because remember earlier when I was talking about essentials and non-essentials? That's the kind of attitude that people are starting to have now. It's starting to become, we're the all-important, all-knowing essentials, and you are the non-essentials. And it's creating this really, well, we talked about it last time, it's creating this tension in the job place where now that the tide has turned, as where people used to kind of look down their nose at people who are in the service industry, now the roles are reversed to where you need us more than we need you. Because at one point it used to be you come into the store, you talk crazy to the cashier, you talk crazy to the people in there. But now we're the gatekeepers. We have everything that you need. We have all of your cleaning supplies, all of your food, and it's interesting to see. I mean, again, I've known about these social experiments for years, so it's funny to see it play out in the real world. Especially, again, where it's people who are the haves, who have now been turned into the have-nots. And to see how they respond to it is very interesting, to say the least. But that's enough of the Quarantine 2020 talk. We're, what is it? Today is Monday, and we actually have to go to Costco. So it should be interesting. I should have some more stories about Quarantine 2020 when we get back. But I digress. Things are moving along beautifully. We have some logos that I've got maybe 8 or 9 of them. I put some of them on Instagram and my Facebook, and I put one of them. I'll put some more up. So I don't know. I paid dude to make this drawing. He made the drawing. I told him to mail it to me. He hasn't mailed it. I don't know what's going on. He's Quarantine 2020, y'all. I don't know. But we actually, you know what? I'll post them right now. So as I'm talking on Monday, I will post I'll post the designs. We'll see what time it is. But yeah, I also broadcasted the first game on the PlayStation Network, Tru Sav 52. Anybody can get it. I was kind of shook because I wasn't paying attention and I was live streaming something else. And this guy challenged me to a game. And I had played it before, but I couldn't remember if I had beat him or not. And it wasn't looking too good for your boy. But I came back and did what Tru Savs do. YouTube. So I got to get it together too. We have to organize all these because there's a gaming one, there's a podcast one. There's too much stuff to remember. I'm getting old. I'm starting to lose it. But yeah, I've been live streaming in a couple of the games that I played. Probably one of the best games I ever played. Not even gonna lie. I'm glad that I recorded it. I was down like 20 points. And I'm not even gonna fret. I was thinking about turning it off and just started the game over and being like, I can't go out like this. But because I'm a savage, I just played the game. I was like, fuck it. If I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. And it was pretty interesting. It was. I'm proud of myself. I only lost by a couple of points. I did lose by 20, but it was better than I thought. Which reminds me. Let's see. Today is the 30th. By the end of Quarantine 2020, we're going to have the first episode of That's Not My Business. And we're going to have some interviews. We already got to set it up. I think it's going to happen today. Hopefully she's still alive. We have all the questions put together. We've got the intro music. We've got icons. We got all of that. We're ready to go. Now the only problem is there's nothing to talk about. Because all the celebrities and all the famous people are on timeout too. So that's going to be difficult. I don't necessarily know what we're going to talk about. I do know there's this thing called the Shade Room. Oh, I know, right? Me watching everyone just give up their rights when the government wants them to. Yeah, no, Jesus. But yeah, this place, the Shade Room, I've had to read some articles off of there because that's not my business entails, and it's a messy, as the kids say. Like, it's all in people's business, and so-and-so said this, and so-and-so's baby mom said that. It's Jesus Christ, it's tiring. Oh, so apparently I've been tasked with watching the Tiger King, or Child Tiger something. Apparently, the one thing that I guess is all right about Quarantine 2020 is everyone watches the same TV shows. So everyone tells the same jokes. We all watch the same thing. So the last 3 or 4 days, there's a Netflix documentary or something about, I don't know. It's like a guy with like a bowl cut that's like blonde, and he's in Florida, and something, I don't know. I haven't even watched the previews for it, but from the gist of it, I guess my man raises tigers or something in Florida, and something happens. I don't really know. I'm not really up on game, but I guess I've been tasked with watching that over the next week, so I'll have something to talk about because that's, I don't know, what's hot right now. I just got my wife to watch The Watchmen. We're gonna watch the final episode tonight, so hopefully. I mean, she said she didn't like it, but I mean, you watched all 8 of the episodes, and you're on the last one, so I'm pretty sure you liked it. It's cool though. Yeah, any suggestions on TV shows? Well, not for me, for her, because I take that back. We're both essentials, so don't really have time to watch much TV. Being an essential, that shit is hilarious. You fucking non-essentials, causing all this fucking traffic, breathing on my air. No, I would suggest. Oh well, you guys have time. I would watch if you really got some time to kill and you really want to learn something. Behold the Pale White Horse. That's a good one on YouTube. That's I want to say by William Cooper. That's a couple hours. Todd Smith, if you want to Google him, that's Todd Smith, Bill Cooper, David Icke. That's another interesting guy to watch. You'll never be bored. Those 3. So what is it? Bill Cooper, Todd Smith, and David Icke. Those will help you fill up your day with some very interesting subjects. You heard it here first. I guess in some not so funny news. This is a very unique situation, to say the least. And there's been some odd occurrences that have happened. There's the people who worked there before this happened and quit, meaning like before the 16th. There was people that obviously didn't like the job, were sick, whatnot, not getting enough hours, and they quit. And then, of course, the irony of that was that the next day after they quit, that it was unlimited overtime and we got a raise. There's those people, so that's like, that fucking sucks. Like, you had an essential job and you quit, but God bless you. I hope it works out for you. There's also the people who work there. We've had 4 people quit because they felt that we weren't taking the cleaning aspect of it serious enough. Like, yeah, we had one girl walk out. Like, she came in and said she felt like it wasn't serious enough, so she quit. Another guy was just, wow. There's a lady running up and down the hallway with her toddler, and it sounds crazy as hell. There was another guy that was scared. He was scared to come into work because he thought he was going to get it. I mean, just a lot of misinformation in general. I mean, unless you're over 65 or under the age of 5, you're not really that much of a threat of getting it. And even if you do, it has like a 95% survival rate. But I digress. All right. So, again, I'm going to post those new logos that I got. I think there's like 3 or 4 of them. I even got fancy and got them to do a signature one so we could have like a Sean John shirt that says Tru Sav. I know. Oh, isn't that beautiful? There's no traffic, so you can see everything in the morning. Like, it's really clear. There's always parking spots now. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm enjoying quarantine 2020, but I mean, it would be nice if things stayed like this for a while. But I digress. Let's see. Tru Sav comedy. Jeez, I had to get out of here. I had to go to work. I'm losing my mind. Well, today we learned absolute power corrupts absolutely. And you got to be careful when you're in situations where you have power over others, because that's how it leads to certain abuses. We don't want you guys mistreating anyone, right? Because we're savages. We don't do that. So, I had to go. Tru Sav Comedy, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Best Day Ever Podcast at gmail.com. Tru Sav 52 on the PlayStation Network. Anybody can get it. Just straight Tru Sav on YouTube. I started a gaming one where you can see the best game ever played. That is about it. Hopefully, what is it? It's the last day of March. Maybe by the last day of April, we should have like some shirts or like beanies or something. We're gonna get it together. Hopefully the quarantine didn't shut everything down. We'll figure it out. If nobody told you yet, I believe in you. You got good things coming to you and only you. If no one told you I love you, you can't get yesterday back. You might not get tomorrow, so that makes today the best day ever. Holla at your boy. Babe, don't leave me. I'm on the way.